Then recording starting. Yeah, welcome to the Power Platform User Group Cologne. We are organizing our content around the whole Microsoft Power Platform, and we are just like looking for different topics to talk about, inviting different kind of speakers. We just have like a couple of house rules, so to say like no sales, no headhunting, no recruiting, and just have like a good exchange with other ones. Be kind and respectful to each other, and just like try to have a nice time learning something new and having a good exchange to each other. You will also find our links down there for the YouTube channel or for the two different meetups for Power Automate and Power Apps and Power BI user group. We are always like looking for new speakers, so if you're interested in that, you can just like send us over your ideas or your topics you want to talk about. Just contact Philip or me on LinkedIn or on the different other social media platforms. Just a short overview, what is like coming next. On Monday, we will have Florian Kleins with another topic about plan automation. Then there's the Microsoft Ignite in the beginning of November. Also on the same time, there's a DAX workshop from the Berlin Power BI user group. Then we needed to reschedule the session from Michael Roth about the Center of Excellence starter kit. It's not on the 15th, but not on the 16th, but on the 15th of November. Because on the 16th, we have another meetup for the Power BI user group Cologne by Inteljan Guindersma. And then there's like also other user groups you should maybe check out, like the Power Platform user group Stuttgart, who has like every Wednesday meetup with different speakers, and every Friday at 10 a.m. in the morning. There's like the Power Atelier by the Power Platform user group Hannover from Stefan Riedel and Tomislav Karel-Filov. And you should also maybe check out the Power Platform user group Munich, which is found on LinkedIn. And then, I want to really thank you, May, for joining us here today for your session. Normally, we would maybe have like a little gift for you when you're speaking at our groups. That's like currently a little bit difficult to really like coming over here. Like also the distance is like pretty long coming over to Germany. But like in this digital times with our meetup, we just like had another idea. So with a lot of other communities in Germany, we made an agreement to try to reduce the CO2 emissions that is like currently going on. So like also our current meetup is like producing a lot of emissions, and we just like try to reduce this a little bit. So we give you as a gift some information about some document that we planted a tree for you in Germany, in North Germany. Actually, if you maybe ever will be in Germany, you can actually visit it. There's like some coordinates where you will find your tree, and now you're a godmother of a tree in Germany as a little gift for your speaking here.
Thank you so much. Actually, I'm super happy to be here today and share my knowledge, and thank you for this amazing gift. Really, thank you so much.
Great. Thanks very much. So, you can start your presentation. I will
Sure.
just end my screen and enjoy it.
Sure. Let me share my screen, and please let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so thank you so much again for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge today. And before we start, let me introduce myself in a quick way. My name is Alhajri. I'm from Saudi Arabia, Middle East, and I have been graduated with computer engineering bachelor degree. I have 5 years experience within oil and gas industry, and my current position actually is a digital analyst within Schlumberger within Saudi Arabia. And I started my journey as a power addict. And actually, now I'm a Microsoft MVP as a first Saudi female. And actually, I'm super active on different social medias like Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. I'm posting a lot of sessions on YouTube. Even I have my own community, Sharing is Caring on Meetup. So if you are interested to join and learn a lot of things, so feel free to join us. And I have my own website, like I'm posting all my documents, all my infographics, all my things within my website, so you can look at it at any time. And if you need any support or anything, reach me out at any time on any different social medias account. Okay, so what we will learn today, we will learn what's AMA app. Also, we will learn more about adaptive cards and what kind of things that we can do with adaptive cards. We will do actually all the main topics will be through the live demo. I will show you how we can build AMA app with the whole flow. And if you have any question, you can stop me at any time and you can even type your questions within that chat. So, what's AMA app? Ask me anything application. It means within this application or the idea behind the AMA app actually, uh, within my organization or any other organization, a lot of people depends from organization to another organization or from different departments. A lot of people they would like to ask a specific SMEs different questions, and we found the best practice actually to ask questions like we have a Yammer, which is similar to the Facebook that you can go there, ask your question, but there is another tool that we can use it to build our application, which is Power Apps. AMA application actually will help the user to go to the application, ask their questions easily by filling a specific form, but the magic will happen after they fill the form and submit their question, which is I will show it to you while we are doing the live demo. When the user fill the questions and they submit their questions, we have a specific SMEs for different departments. Like we have an IT, we have HR, we have a safety department. So for each department, we can have a specific SME that they can support the employees or they can support the end user to answer their question very quick. So they can respond immediately. How we can do this? When the user submit their question, we would the SME will receive a notification by email, like someone is asking a specific question, but where or from where they can answer their question. To make it more fun, actually, we will use something we call it adaptive cards, and I'm gonna explain more about it later on. So they're gonna receive the specific card with the name of the user, with their questions, and for example, based on the category that they will select it from the application as a card within Teams, Microsoft Teams, because now most of the people or most of the departments they have their own Microsoft Teams or they have their own teams to share their documents to answer questions. So with the adaptive cards we can put this functionality to engage with the SMEs within their teams. And we will understand more about it while we are doing the live demo. And when they answer their question within the adaptive cards, actually, the end user will be able to receive the answer of their question by email as a notification. So the question here before we do the live demo, what's adaptive cards or what do we mean by adaptive cards? I'm not sure if you are familiar with it, but I will explain it in easiest way, but while we are doing the live demo, you will understand more about it and how we can use it and from where should we get started. Adaptive cards actually it's an open card exchange format that will enable the developers to exchange their user interface elements in a new way. And how we can do this and what kind of things that we can use to design our adaptive cards. Let me share with you now, let's start with our live demo and from where should we start? Let me open now my browser, just a minute. So we understand our scenario that I would like to build an application to help the user to fill a specific form by putting a specific questions that will help them to enter their question very quick. While they are entering their question and once they click on submit, I would like to send the adaptive cards that I will build it to Microsoft Teams on specific teams. And from there, when the SME will answer the question and they click submit within the adaptive cards, I would like to send the answer back to the end user by email. So the question here, what kind of tools that I can use? I will use Power Apps to build the application. Second, I will use the adaptive cards to be as a my main card to add it to Power Automate, because adaptive cards actually we can build it by using something we call it adaptive cards designer. But you can design your card, but there's no connection directly between your adaptive cards designer to your Power Automate or Power Apps. So the idea behind adaptive cards designer will help you if you don't have any idea how I can build my own card, or I don't have any idea about like the language that we have it within the adaptive cards. It's really a good tool to use it to build your adaptive cards and design it without having any knowledge on how I can add the code of the adaptive cards. So we will use Power Apps, we will use Adaptive Cards Designer, we will use Power Automate to run the whole flow, like how I will send the card, how I will send the notification. And in the future, for example, if you will use this application or this tool, you can build your own dashboard by using Power BI to track how many questions we receive, how many we answered the question, so how many SMEs. So you can build all this stuff based on your tool that you are using. And also, we will use a SharePoint to be as a main data store. So let's start with the first part on how we can design our adaptive cards, or from where I can design it. There is something we call it here adaptive cards. Let me share the link on the chat, so in case if you want to go through it later on, let me share it, just a minute. So once you go to this link, the adaptive cards, let me copy it, just a minute, copy. And I will share it. Here we go. So from here, once you open it, you will be able to see like a documentation if you would like to learn more about adaptive cards, how you can get started. If you want to be more expert, you can go from there. So here we go. Within this site, actually, you will be able to look at the documents from where I can start and more and more. And you can go here, code samples, and you can see a different samples of adaptive cards, like we have for the weather, we have for different scenarios, and you can select whatever you want. For example, here there is a sample that already built in within the community. You can go through it. If you want to learn more about it, you can go there. But if you are already expert on how you can build, or you have the full idea about the JSON card or how you can add the code, it will be something really easy for you. But let me open just a minute. I have another link that will help you. I think it's not the same link, but let me go to the documentation, just a minute. Here we go. Art designers. Okay, cool. Okay, here we go. The link that I shared with you will help you to learn more about it. So here we go, the designer. As I mentioned, designer will help you to build your own card. Today, we will not design our card, but I will give you a quick overview about it because I have my own card already built in. So once you open Adaptive Cards Designer, by default, you will be able to see this page. Actually, here, this is a sample, or you can start from scratch and you can build your own. But if you are a beginner, and you want to use a sample that we have it, you can change it. For example, here, I can change the title. I can change here whatever I have. This section actually will show you the card that will be available to the end user. So whatever we are having on this section, the end user will be able to see it. Here, it's the card code that we have it. So from here, the code that we have it, it's based on the card that you are working on it. For example, if I will delete this part, by default, the code will be removed from here. So as a beginner, don't worry about the code that we have it, just focus on the card that you have it here. From here, you have the elements. For example, if I would like to add like image, I can add it here. And by default, I will see a new code added to my main code. But if I would like to see another samples, or I would like to see more examples about adaptive cards, how can I look at it? From here, you can go to samples, and you can see different samples. For example, if I would like to see a calendar reminder as adaptive cards, this is the main card that you will use it within your any scenarios. And here we have the data JSON code that you will use. So the question here, before we copy the code and all this stuff, we would like to build an application, right, to get the questions from the user. So the tool that we will use it, we call it Power Apps. Now, we already familiar with the adaptive card designers. It's the tool that will help me to design my card, which is we will later back to this part. Now, let's start with the first part. Like, I really need to build an application that will help the user to enter their questions. How we can do this? Let me open the application. I already built it, but I will give you an overview about it on how we can build this application. It's really an easy application. It's not complicated at all. Something really easy. You can build it within 10 minutes. So if we look at it here, I have three main pages. I have the main page, which is just an image here, a label, like I'm adding a label, ask me anything. Let me zoom it. Here we have an image, which is we are using user.image, like a welcome message with the user full name. Still, there is no magic here, something really easy. Here we are adding like ask me, ask a question to get reply from an expert. It's a label. And the background is just an image. But if we look at the button here, when the user click on it, we're supposed to navigate to another page, which is second page. The main things that the main work will happen within the second page, which is I call it here ask a question. So ask a question here, I have a form. And as we know, the main control that, or the most important control that we have it within Power Apps, we have a gallery, we have a forms, we have a different types of controls. Here, as we know that we would like to collect the questions from the user. So the best control that we can use it is a form by default. So here I have three main things within my form. I have a category because it's depends on the scenario, because here I would like the user to select their category. For example, maybe it's department, maybe another category. It's depend on the scenario that you will apply it. We have a category, we have a topic, and we have the question. So what kind of data source that I'm using? I know here it's a form, but I'm using a SharePoint list to add or to build my data source because at the end, I really would like to collect their questions so I will be able to send it back as adaptive cards to my teams. So let us go now to the SharePoint and we will back to the application. Let me show you how the SharePoint list will look like. It's something really easy. It's just a normal SharePoint. I build it as a list. I have a category as a multiple choices, and I have a topic as a text, and I have a question as a text. Plus, I'm adding something here. I call it answer. Why do we need to add a column here, answer? Because within the adaptive cards, when we send it to the teams, the SME will be able to answer the question, right? So how we can send it back to the user if we are not storing the answer? So that's why I will do within my Power Automate, I will store the answer on my SharePoint, because within the Power Automate, we will have something that will run to send it back to the user as a notification email. That's why I have the answer column here. Something really easy, something really basic within the SharePoint, easy list. There is nothing. Now let me go back to the Power Apps and show you what will happen here. I already added the form from insert, and here we go. We have two types of form. We have edit, we have display. In our scenario, we will use edit form because we will let the user to enter their questions. So we need to use edit. From there, after you add your form, you need to select your data source. And I already added, which is, I call it a questions, which is based on my SharePoint. From there, I will add the submit button because I really would like the user after they fill the form to submit the questions. And what kind of formula that I'm using here? I'm using a batch formula, and whatever the user they are entering here, it will goes direct to my SharePoint. Or you have another option. If you don't like to use the batch function, you can use, which is submit the form, the one that we use it for any form on Power Apps. Don't worry about the formulas. There is a lot of documents that will help you on Microsoft Learn if you are not familiar with the batch function or submit the form. But the main purpose of our session today to not go in more details about the coding part, because I just wanted to show you how we are able to use the different things from different tools within Microsoft, like we are using Power Apps, SharePoint, and now we will build our flow to send it to teams. So different tools, but it will help us to automate the process rather than sending an email every time to SME or call them, I have a question. So all this tool will help us to automate the process. So, so after the user submit the question here, it will go to the SharePoint and the data will be saved as a question category topic. It will be stored on my and saved on my SharePoint. After it will saved on my SharePoint, the magic will happen from Power Automate. I have a specific flow that will help me to send the adaptive cards and to answer the question and send it back to the user. Let us now see how it will look like. Before we jump to the Power Automate, don't worry, we will run the whole package together, but I'm trying to explain to you the main structures that we have it, then we will do it together. The third page that we have it on Power Apps, which is the done page, it's a normal page. Like when they submit the question, it will navigate to the third page, and it's like a thank you message. And here we have another button if they want to go back and ask any other question. There is no magic here, it's something really easy. Now, let me show you the Power Automate that I have it there and see what kind of things that I'm adding. Let me open it now. Okay. The magic, as I mentioned, will happen after the user submit the questions and store it on my SharePoint, right? So I will use a trigger, we call it when an item is created. And let me go to the edit page to show you. Here we go. So when an item is created on my SharePoint and I have a specific list name, the one that I will store the question there, there is some conditions that will happen. There is some actions supposed to happen, right? And it depends on you. You can customize the flow based on your scenario. For example, here, I have a different category. I have an IT, I have maybe HR, and for each department, there is a specific SME, right? So maybe when the user select from the application IT and they click submit, I would like to send the question to a specific SME on a specific channel on Teams. So how we can do this? Here I'm adding only one example, so you can duplicate the same example and you can change it based on the scenario that you will use it or the category that you will have it. So after we have the trigger when item is created, we will have a condition. And actually, SME, it's like the person that who is an expert on a specific topic. We call it SME. I'm not sure what other people they call it, but like who knows or who is expert on this topic. That's why we call it SME. So, for example, within my organization, we have a specific person. If I have a question related to HR, we have a specific person every time I need to go and ask him or ask her. So that's why I call it SME. Okay, so here we go. When an item is created, go and check the category. Maybe you don't need to use any condition. You have only one category, so you don't need to use this one. So you can add the yes condition right away. But here in my scenario, I have a different department. Maybe I have a different persons. So it will be different from one person to another. So that's why I will have a condition. So go and check if category is equal to IT, do this condition. There is nothing if no. Maybe if no, I have another category or I can add another condition as a a parallel conditions. It depends on you. So if the category that I have it equal to IT, I really like to do three main actions. First, here I call it PAC, but it's like the adaptive cards, post adaptive cards on my teams. You can call it whatever you want. It depends. It depends on your adaptive cards. You can keep it as it is, but or you can change the name by clicking here and rename. So what you need to do, you need to select something, we call it post adaptive cards, and wait for a response, because in our scenario, when we post the adaptive cards on Teams, we need to wait till we get the response from specific person, right? So, and our flow will run based on this condition. So here we go. When you select it, you have two conditions here. Either you can make it as a you have only actually here one things, which is you can run it as a flow, or on other adaptive cards you have a condition to use it or to run it based on the users, the one who built the flow, or you can enter a custom value. So we will keep it as it is. And here you have an option to select, like, do you want to add it to a channel, a group, a chat, or a chat with the flow? So it's up to you. In our scenario, we will use a channel because the best practice, if you have a different categories, I really suggest for you to create one teams, add the different channels based on the category. This is the best practice, and you can send whatever you're having from the question to be linked to or to be send it out to your channel. Here we go. The message here supposed to be your adaptive cards. So let me copy it and add it to the designer. Let me try it out. The powerful things actually with the adaptive cards designer, if you have your own code, you can test it out within the same site. So let me remove this code and let me try out to add it here. I'm not sure if it will work or not, but it showed me there is an error. Okay. So from here, you can add your card, you can test it out. You can, if you want to use the example that you have it here, you can use it. But if you want to use something from blank or from scratch, you can add a new card, and you have a different way to build your card. And this is where you need to copy the code and add it to your Power Automate here, a message. A message, it means the adaptive cards. How you want the message will be sent out as adaptive cards within your teams. So let me go back. Here you have three options to build your card. Either you can build it from blank, from second one, from samples that we have it here, and you can customize it, or there is something we call it image builder. You can create it from any image. For example, I have a specific scenario for adaptive cards as an image, and I would like to convert it to be as adaptive cards. You just need to upload your image and try it out. Something really cool. But let me try to add a blank, and I hope my code will work here. I'm not sure. It showed me there is something. I'm not sure why. Anyways, if you want to start your card from a blank, you can select the blank one and start to add, like, for example, text. And look at here, when whatever I'm adding here, it's supposed to be added to my code without writing the code by myself. For example, if I would like to add a time, here we go. Let me add it, just a minute. Input date. Here we go. I have input date. So you don't need to worry about the code. Whatever you are adding here, by default, you will have it here. Just you need to understand the main elements that we have it here, and something really easy to use. If you are familiar with other tools that you are using from Microsoft, it will be something easy for you. Now, don't worry about the cards. I already built it before and I have a sample. I just wanted to show you the concept and how we can add it. So let's assume that we already built the cards together and we have it ready. What you need to do after you build your card, you need to copy the link that we have it here. Just copy it. And within your Power Automate, under the message part, you need to add it here. And the magic things that you need to do here, for example, here, I would like to add, like, for example, the username. How can I add the username? I know the adaptive cards, it's the things that I can build it, but there is no connection directly from adaptive cards that I use it on Designer to pick the names, right? You need to do a little extra work here by adding the data from your SharePoint, because at the end we are the main triggers that we have it's a SharePoint, maybe in your scenario Excel or other data source, it depends. So for example, here on my adaptive cards, I really would like to see the name user, the questions, if they have any topic. So how can I do this? Within my adaptive cards here, I have a topic. So here, the value of my topic supposed to be the topic that we have it on SharePoint when the user entered from Power Apps. Same thing for category. Same thing for a question. I need to select it from my SharePoint list that we have it, and you can select it from here, the dynamic content. And from there, you don't need to worry about other part of the code if you don't want to see any as an output. And from there, you need to select your team, the updated message. For example, when I receive the card, I would like to see the question ID, maybe the question ID 1, 2. Maybe you can add here a username. It's up to you what do you want to see as an update message. And the team, you just need to select Microsoft Teams or the teams that you are working on it, and the channel, based on the channel that you would like to send the adaptive cards. This is the post adaptive cards and within Teams. After I post the card, now what I really would like to do, as we mentioned, we have an answer column on my SharePoint, right? Which is because I would like to collect the answer from the person who will answer the card, right? So how can I do this? There is something we call it update item. Update item, it means go to the same SharePoint that I have it, select the same SharePoint list that you have it, and the most important column, it's the ID, because it will be the unique column that you will store or return back the answer to the same question. So the ID, you will add your ID here. And from here, select the category. Here it's IT because I make a condition to be IT, so it means an IT. And here is the magic. Here, you need to take whatever you are having here from adaptive cards, which is the output, the name of your adaptive cards, and this is the code. I will send you the sample. Maybe you can use it. Just a minute. I just put it on the chat. Within the answer column, you need to add this part of the code, but you need to change the name. For example, here I have the output of PAC3. In your scenario, it will be the name of your adaptive cards, because I really would like to store the answer that I have it from my adaptive cards to be on my SharePoint. And I will store it under answer column. This is the name of the column that I will store the answer from the adaptive cards. Then, after I store the answer, what I really would like to do, and this is the reason why we are storing the answer, because I would like to send an email to the person who already sent us the question to answer his question. This is the communication way that it will happen. And sending the email, actually, it's up to you. Either you can just add the answer column here, but here I have it as a HTML code. It's up to you how you want to send the email. You can make it one sentence, but for me, I really prefer to send the email as a HTML and make it really cool. And you will see what kind of things that I will send it. But the most important things here is adding the answer. Like the answer of your question will be the one that I have it on my SharePoint. Okay, now let us try to test it out and see how it will work. I know that I explained a lot of things, but while we are running now the application with all this stuff, you will understand the main concept about it. So let us start. I will act to be as an end user. I will act to be as the expert who will answer the question, and I will show you the whole process, how it will work. So as an end user, I will open the application to ask my question. And for example here, because our flow based on IT category, so I will select IT, like a test, a new, And I supposed to write my question here, test question. And from there, I will submit my question. It's something really easy. And here we go. Now, my flow, and I supposed the data is supposed to saved and stored on my SharePoint, then the flow will supposed to be running and send the card. Let us check now our SharePoint. Here we go. It's already stored on my SharePoint. Cool. It means my flow is supposed to work now. Let us go now to our flow and see if it's working. Still, it will take a few seconds. Let's see. The powerful things with Power Automate, you can check your flow from here and you can see if there is any issues or anything, and you can fix it later on. So let us wait for a few seconds. Let me open the Teams, the one that we're supposed to receive the adaptive cards, and see if we receive anything. Still, I didn't receive anything. It means the flow is still running, or there is something. Okay, cool. It's running. It will keep like this till we answer the question. So the running will be there till I go to the adaptive cards and answer the question as the expert. So let us go now to the Teams and check out, did we receive the adaptive cards or not yet? Here we go. I receive it under digital world is my place. I call the Teams and the general channel. And here we go. I have, this is my adaptive cards. This is the one that we call it adaptive cards. I have we have a new question for you. It's from Alhajri. We have a topic, category, question, your answer, and here we go. Like test. And I will submit my answer. And once I click on submit, I will send back my answer based on the flow that I have it to my SharePoint. So now this one's supposed to be completed and running completely. But before we jump here, let us see the SharePoint and see if we store the answer. Let me see it. Here we go. We have now the answer already saved on my SharePoint. And now I supposed to receive, as an end user, I supposed to receive an email that your question, and this is the answer of your question, which is the last part of our flow. And here we are done. The flow it's completed. But now let me check my email if I received anything. Just a minute. Let me check my email if I received, because I supposed to receive an email. Let me show you one example. Here we go. I just received it. Let me open it from another page. Here we go. I just received it actually. You remember when I told you there is HTML? You can use the same format or you can change it based on your scenario. So here we go. Within my HTML format, actually, I add the picture, the title, but the most important things, this is the one, the answer, because we update the SharePoint, and from there, within the adaptive cards, within the last part, sending an email, we are adding our answer. And here we go. It seems like a lot of things to do, but something really easy. So once you understand the concept, you will be able to add everything. So what I did basically, I used the Power Apps to build the interface to help the user to enter their question, which is less than 20 minutes. It's just a normal form. SharePoint to store my data, a simple SharePoint list with 4 columns like title, questions, topic, and the answer. I'm using Adaptive Cards Designer to design my card, and something really easy to do. The main things to run the whole flow, actually, it's Power Automate. The Power Automate is the main components for all my project here. because it will help me to send the adaptive cards, then store the answer and send it back to the end user. So Power Automate's supposed to be the main tool to send the adaptive cards. As we know, adaptive cards designer will not help you to send the cards. Adaptive card designers is something that will help you only to design the cards. So this is the main tools that I use it during this project. You can make it more big by adding different categories, or based on the department that you have it, or you can use the same concept on different scenarios actually. But you understand the concept that how we can use adaptive cards on different scenarios and how we can send it to the end user and get the answers and so on. So this is the most important things that I use it. But I would like to highlight something before I end my presentation. So if you are wondering how I can, let me go back to the new card. If you are wondering how I add like enter your question or answer within the card while I'm sending the card, right? We are allowing the person on Teams to enter their answer. What kind of things or elements that I'm using within the adaptive cards? Let me give you one example. For example, here we go. For example, here we have something here, we call it input text, which is here under input. So if you want to let the user to enter anything within the adaptive cards, like a name, maybe answer, maybe anything, you need to use the inputs element. So here we have a different things. We have like the image, we have a fact set, we have text, we have media, we have action. But if you would like them to enter any text, you need to use input text, like input date, timer, number, choices. So you just need to understand all this stuff. And within your Power Automate, you can change whatever you are like looking for based on your data source. So this is the most important things that I have it for today, and hopefully that you understand the main concept and you will start to build your own adaptive cards and try to use it on different scenarios. Actually, it's not only you can use it in Teams. No, you can use it on Outlook, and here you can select the host app from here. Like if you are using Microsoft Teams Dark, Light, if you want to use it on Windows Timeline, so Outlook even, you can send your adaptive cards. This is the one that we have it to your Outlook if you don't want to use it to send it to Teams. So at the end, it depends on the business case that you have it or the scenario that you want to use it. So and as we know, with Microsoft tools, you can use different tools together, like Power Apps, Teams, SharePoint, different tools. And this is really cool. So I hope that I explain it in a way that you will start to build your own adaptive cards. And this is what I have so far. If you have any question, just let me know. And thank you so much.
Thanks very much, May.
Thank you.
Yeah, like we had a comment in the chat, like that you should maybe keep an eye on the version that you are using. That's correct. That you need to actually check, like if you're using like the bot framework or the Microsoft Teams. There's like a difference in there. That's a good point to
Yeah.
mention that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess you
actually,
mentioned it.
yeah, when I tried to build my first adaptive cards, I faced like while I'm running the flow, it showed me there is an error with the adaptive cards version. And I start to search because there is some new version like I'm using. Let me check the flow, the one that I'm using actually to make sure, because I used another version and it showed me an error. So I'm not sure if we have any new update version, but let me show you here what kind of version that I'm using, and it's working fine with me, which is supposed to be somewhere 1.0. This is the version that I'm using because last time I used 2.0 and it was not working with me. To be honest with you, I'm not sure how can I check the version or why it was not working with me. I need to double check and check with the expert with the adaptive cards on how we can check the version. But it's really a good point because if you are using the wrong version, you will get an error within your Power Automate. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks very much. How did you like created the email that you sent, like the WoW formation that you made? Like, did you prepared it before that? You just like created it before and copied like the HTML out there, or how did you actually like
Yeah.
made this?
For the email, actually, I'm using HTML. We have a lot of online sources that will help you, even if you are not expert with the HTML. Actually, I know how to write HTML. It's something easy, but if you are not expert, there is a lot of a free online tool that you can just build your frame and the email that you would like to use it, and you can get the HTML code. And the way that you can do, just copy the HTML and replace whatever you want to add from your SharePoint if you are using a Power Automate. For example, in my email, I have the questions, the answers, right? So I just replace the text by adding the one that the triggers that I have it on my data source. So this is the way that I'm using to build any HTML email. And you can add images. There is a lot of cool stuff that you can do with HTML. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, great,
Mm.
thanks. Are there any other questions maybe from the community that you want to ask May? Otherwise, I would maybe stop the recording right now and we can also up the discussion round. I guess we can close the recording.